Today, as you can see, we're going to talk about college athletes and why I believe they should be paid. Now, on a different topic, slavery is the greatest shame in U.S. history. It's a dark moment in U.S. history, and hopefully it never exists again. However, according to Oxford, the definition of slavery is when a person is the legal property of another person and is forced to work without any compensation. However, if you think about it, that is college athletes right now. In the U.S., college athletes are doing all the hard work, they're training hard, they have to sacrifice extra hours, do marketing for the schools, however, they don't get any compensation at all. Now, what's the difference between slavery and exploitation of athletes? I'll explain right now. Okay, so first of all, we're going to start with the NCAA. As you know, the National College Athletic Association is the ruling government of all college athletics of Division 1, 2, and 3 in the U.S. And as you can see, football and basketball are the main sports that generate most revenue in the U.S. And right now, March Madness just finished, and you can see how the amount of advertising and money spent for March Madness is bigger than the NFL, the NBA, MLB, and NHL. Now, because the NCAA is the only ruling government, they have their own rules. And according to the NCAA, all sports are actually amateur level. Therefore, they should not be paid, and they should not receive any compensation at all. Now, Terry Crews was a former college athlete and an NFL player. And in an interview he did with Sports Illustrated, he mentioned that there's no difference between getting paid and being professional. He mentions that I could get paid for throwing a ball, and that does not make me a professional. The difference between amateur and professional is just skill level. So therefore, the definition of amateur is very biased, according to the NCAA. Now, Loyola School of Entertainment and the law program defines that a scholarship is a proper compensation for college athletes if it is provided correctly. However, they do mention that this is not the case in the majority of the student athletes that possess a scholarship. Actually, most students that possess a scholarship and are student athletes do not even graduate at all. Therefore, the NCAA is putting this compensation in a very weird aspect. Many students actually think they're getting a free education, when in fact that education is not a proper one. The schools provide them with classes that do not benefit them at all, and if they get injured or they actually decide to declare to go to the draft, they are no longer eligible to play. Now, regarding that, the NCAA is allowed to revoke scholarships as well. So therefore, we have to decide whether the schools actually prefer the commercial value of the students or the education. As of right now, it looks like they prefer more the commercial value of each recruit. Now, football and basketball currently are the two sports that generate the most revenue in college athletics. And because of this revenue goes to scholarships. These scholarships not only include football and basketball, but as well soccer, tennis, lacrosse, all other sports that could probably not exist without the revenue generated by these sports. However, according to Fox Sports, this is called the college sports socialism, where the athletes pay a high tax in order for all the athletes to survive and, in this case, get a scholarship for a proper education. Now, as you can see, this drawing right here makes fun of the situation. The two athletes on the right are pulling the cart of the NCAA and professional sports. Professional sports being that they generate the same amount of revenue. Now, as you can see, the athlete says like they get no money, no compensation, no cars, and all for what? And the one on the right says education, even though he says he doesn't feel very smart. That's making fun of the education they're actually getting. Now, in an article published by the New York Times, there's actually two solutions for this situation. The first one being the fair market value. As you can see in the chart right here, every team is listed by a fair market value of the entire program and by sport. Now, most people who defend that college athletes should not get paid say that if they get paid, then the money generated by the school would decrease by a huge amount, and a lot of sports would not be able to exist. However, as you can see, the amount of money spent in scholarships is not even closely related to the fair market value per player. Now, the other solution proposed by New York Times is the Olympic solution, where the programs actually don't pay the students or the athletes directly, but the athletes generate revenue through marketing, TV rights, and any sponsorships that are not directly related to the program. Now, as you can see, there are many different types of sports. It's not only football and basketball. And all these players right here have the right to compete and be paid if they're good enough. Now, just to summarize everything, college athletics is, right now, it's a monopoly controlled by the NCAA. No athlete is getting paid at the moment. And, what's that called? The best solution for me is the Olympic solution. By doing this, it will reduce the scams, and there'll be no more money under the table. And with correct salary caps, this will be a solution for everyone. Any questions? Yes.
How much has UF made in football?
Just in football, if I'm correct, in 2015, UF made around $37 million in just football revenue. That does not include basketball or any other sports in the program. Yes.
Has it always been this way, that athletes on your page?
Yes, actually, since the very beginning, the NCAA has always controlled and determined that college athletics are amateur level, and therefore college athletes have never been paid. Before, now that you mentioned that, there was a lot of issues, especially with video games that had image rights and TV rights using the players, and they were not receiving any money. So therefore, they've become very strict with the players not able to receive any revenue at all.
If the revenue isn't going to the athletes, then who's it?
Basically, anyone within the program, as well as the NCAA, can generate revenue. That includes ball boys, management, equipment, anybody but the athletes. That is why I believe the athletes should get paid. It is not fair that the ones doing the hard work are the ones not receiving the money. Yes?
Does this include athletes in all sports?
Yes, now that you say that, it includes every single sports. Now that is with the NCAA sponsored sports.
So would there be like a difference in the amount of pay based on the sport? Whereas like football and basketball get the highest revenue versus like another sport that doesn't get as much?
Yes, that would be, if you go through the fair market value, depending on the skill level and the value of each player, they would receive a different amount of salary. Now that is, as you can see in professional sports, different players within the same team earn different amount of money, and that's not a big deal at all. Now, if you regulate it within the NCAA with lower salary and a salary cap, that should work fine. Any other questions?